What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a Young Buck compilation mixtape. Basically this project is called Cashville Takeover and it came out in the winter of 2009. So the thing about this particular product here is just the fact that Young Buck was starting to form a label which was basically G Unit South as far as this pitch can happen. Now it did later on, I think it became Cashville Records as well as far as this pitch can happen. Kind of was in the formation of it between like 2006 and the late 2000s of 2009 and early 2010 as far as this fair is going to happen. Now it did manage to get a little bit off the label. That particular label did manage to get a little bit off the ground within those pitches. The unfortunate thing was, is right as this label was starting to manifest, 50 Cent was starting to wane out of popularity. So it's just kind of pitched between like the Curtis album not doing as well as it was supposed to, and then Young Buck getting into a beef with 50 Cent and getting kicked out of G Unit. It was just kind of concept that sub label that he originally created around the time in 2006 that was going to have Lil Scrappy and 615 and the Outlawz, even folks like that on there, was just kind of got sabotaged. And there were projects that came out around that particular time, but they were just very de-promoted, not really commonly talked about. You had to really search for it within a relative distance. Now, if you knew a thing or three about Young Buck, it probably was commonplace enough to know about a lot of this, but this was not promoted. He was not on the top of the charts like he was in 2004, 2005, and early 2007 even. So this was kind of within the pitch. This was just off the wayside type stuff that just most commonly got ignored. It's just in the pitch, but this is a good type compilation type project here. I was surprised that the 615 was not on here more within those pitches. They kind of dropped an album, and I reviewed that back in like the fall of 2024, the 615 album, which I forget what it's called, but with High C and Lil Murda, they dropped an album that came out in the spring of 2008. That's basically a classic. Recommend that easily. They basically had plenty of good gems on there within the pitch behind it. That was on like the Cashville Records that was on the Cashville Records label along with Lil Murda's album, which I'm going to get to as far as this pitch can happen. So it's just in the pitch as far as saying, but it's just some basic, or actually I did get to Lil Murda's album within the fair, so it's kind of the concept. I reviewed that one within some of those type fairs. So it's just in the pitch as far as saying, it's kind of within the aspect here, but the commonplace thing about this particular product is there's a lot of Outlawz on here, which is really excellent and awesome within the pitch, just because of the fact that the Outlawz were kind of left behind after Tupac's kind of just out of nowhere death in like the summer of 1996. So it's just the concept that Outlawz were still around throughout the 2000s and pitches like that, but they just didn't really have someone to kind of bolster them, and they kind of became forgotten about after about the early 2000s. They did drop some albums like pitches like that, like Ride With Us or Collide With Us, some of those type ones, but without Tupac to really spearhead their particular style, they just kind of didn't really phase out, but just kind of faded into the background within a certain pitch. So it's a concept. There's a lot of songs on here that feel like Dirty South. There's a lot of songs on this product that feel like Dirty South renditions of like the Tupac kind of summer rideouts from 1996. So Young Buck does a pretty good job of spearheading, showcasing the Outlawz, like a new movement of like the late 2000s, early 2010s as far as this risk can happen. So these songs work pretty well. It's just kind of the commonplace that there's just not like an anchored smash in terms of like the concept there is. Like I do feel like there's some good buzz songs here within a pitch. I feel like songs like It's Not Okay, which is a 50 Cent diss. I feel like songs like It's Not Okay, which is a 50 Cent diss, and then like We Outta Here is a pretty good club bop within some of those type pitches, and I'd probably say songs like My Interview is a real nice one. There are some Young Buck solo songs that have that pretty good wicked type appeal, but for the concept kind of behind it, I just would kind of have to say that there are some songs that have some relative breakthrough, but the pitch behind it, I would like to talk with this album a little bit more in depth. I realize that there's plenty of songs on here, so it probably would stretch on for quite a while, but I'm kind of having to do this off of memory just because the commonplace about this mixtape is very off to the wayside. For one thing, it's not really available like that on mixtape downloads, so you can't just go out and download this like off of like the Internet Archive or something like that, and DatPiff has shut down some of those type pitches. So it's this kind of concept that I had to compile every single separate song, and there's like 19 official songs on this particular project, so I had to compile all 19 of these songs within a playlist to get the songs to how they originally were on the mixtape. It was just kind of within the pitch. Speaking of that, I wasn't able to find every last one. I managed to get 18 out of 19, but there is at least one song which is called Real As It Gets, which is an Outlawz song. Wasn't able to find that anywhere on YouTube, so it's just kind of within the pitch. I assume that song is good because out of the remaining 18 out of 19 songs I recommend, or out of the remaining 18 songs out of 19 that are on this album that are actually songs, I wound up recommending 17. So it's just in the pitch as far as saying 17 out of 18. Easy enough to see that this product gets a 10 out of 10. So I would have to assume that Real As It Gets is a nice song as well, just from the pitch. And even if it wasn't, it still would get a 10 out of 10. So I just would say within the pitch behind behind it, but I didn't feel like purchasing this particular product to be able to review it as far as what's going to happen, but it is worth it now that I've reviewed it. It's just one of the pitch I would have to guess the Real As It Gets, which is an Outlawz song, which has Storm from the Outlawz, which is the female Outlawz member that Tupac collaborated with, as well as some pretty good pitches. So I look after it. This being able to say it's a low-key type product. This is something, now the concept behind, like I was saying, is just kind of within the conduit stages. Young Buck was still kind of signed to G-Unit in early 2009, some of those type fairs, but he was just languished between his beef with 50 Cent. 50 Cent kind of sabotaged him from putting out further music, which is not as full bound like that, but it's just kind of within the pitch as far as saying that he was just kind of languishing as far as those appeals kind of happen. He did manage to put out products, but it was just very not to the extent of the popularity that he had in 2007 and like the mid 2000s with like Straight Outta Cashville and some of those type tangents, I'd say. So this was the pitch, but these products did come out and they're pretty swift and excellent just within the appeal. So this is just a further kind of home run for Young Buck as far as this pitch can happen. These particular appeals, I like All-Star Cashville Prince being on here. He's a good conduit. All-Star Cashville Prince, like another good extra cat to kind of have on here. He does some good stuff. He's kind of a Yo Gotti affiliate moreover, but he is on here a number of times and it works pretty well. The Outlawz, like I said, are on here a number of times. They have some solo songs and there's a good handful like Young Buck solo songs. There are like some in-between type moments as he got ready to put out the re-up, because originally the re-up, or not the re-up, the rehab was going to be Young Buck's third album that was supposed to be like the one that was supposed to be after like Buck the World, but it kind of got sabotaged when it got dropped from G-Unit. But that is an album. I did review that in the summer of 2024. That's pretty excellent as well. That's a classic as well. But so just to say, yeah, basically out of the 19 songs in this project, not counting Real As It Gets, which narrows it down to 18 because I couldn't find that song anywhere. So the basic concept about it is just the fact the only song I don't recommend is this Cashville Takeover, the intro. So just to say that's not really a song. I would almost say there's really only 18 songs in this project, but the concept behind it is just the fact that the intro just didn't have as much compellingness. It was just kind of, I don't know, the production type fare, that one just didn't have as much appeal. It's not to say to Natch, I really feel like this is not much of like a song as much as it's just like a primer, but just didn't really nail the sprucing up of like the energy of being able to do it. But it's just kind of the concept. It's not really as much of Natch just because intros, it just kind of depends upon it. Didn't enhance the project, but it's just kind of the concept. It just was kind of there within the pitch. But I look after it. So this mixtape gets a 10 out of 10. But just to say once again, the concept about it is Young Buck does have some of these songs floating around on YouTube within the pitch, but you'll notice that most of these songs, there's about 10, 12, or 14 songs that are on YouTube that have like the artwork that seem to be brought to you by Young Buck. But the problem with it is a lot of these are just the interludes, like the Cashville drop and the HBI fucking exclusive drop, some of those type pitches. So it's interesting that he chose to do like the skits and the interviews and some of those type pitches and put those on YouTube as opposed to like the songs on here. But it's kind of the concept as far as saying that the pitch behind it, between Young Buck not really having it available, if you go to his YouTube and pitches like that, this product is not promoted. And then the iTunes edition kind of has less songs than what was on the mixtape variation. So you really do have to seek out this particular product to find it. I don't know what songs were slashed from the iTunes edition. I probably will eventually purchase the iTunes edition because there is some classics on this particular product that are worth listening to within the fair just to get that particular product. But it's just kind of within the appeal that the free mixtape version seems to be since gone. But I just would have to question what songs didn't make the cut, because I want to say on the iTunes edition it's like 21 or 23 songs, something like that. So there's a few songs that didn't make it on there. I'm not sure if it was the interludes that didn't make it or what particularly wasn't, but just from the pitch I would assume most of them are on there. But just being able to say, so that's a concept. So yeah, basically it's going to be, I'm just going to speed through these because I don't want to watch like the YouTube ads every single time to remind myself of what the particular song formats were kind of like. So I'm just going to have to do it more off of memory from like the concept. But I realize that that's probably going to be difficult within the pitch. There's a lot of songs on here. I'd have to listen to the ads constantly within the pitch, but there's just some ones I'm just going to kind of attempt it within the concept. It's just going to be kind of off the cuff as far as this pitch can go. But basically these Young Buck solo songs are pretty vicious. So like It's Not Okay, the 50 Cent diss is a real nice one. It's like a typical kind of night romp in like a neighborhood fair, I'd have to say here. Just some homies dap, I'd have to say, within those compositions. Just basic after work shifts as far as those fairs going to happen. So yeah, it's just some typical kind of night engaged as far as this pitch going to happen. Just good concept. Doesn't really feel as full bound like a vicious kind of 50 Cent diss as much as it is just like the rhetoric of just like the after effects of what's been going on. It's kind of within the concept of this basic night creeping as far as this pitch going to happen. Just some good after hours type push within it. One of the best songs on here in terms of like the night venue type glitz and just some overall step out in like a pizzazz type sense is We Outta Here. There's like a vicious kind of throw in nightclub blitz kind of get here, get hype, definitely some dance ambience that I'd say here, and just some night pep within those aspects for those fairs going to happen. Another nice one within that conduct would be the song Re-Up. There's like a fierce kind of night commerce kind of get here, just some 2000s kind of stunt music I'd say, definite vehicle knock, and I say like a good venue pull up type glitz kind of get within those fashions. So just some good concepts, some of those type songs that like Future, Travis Scott, some of those type folks would do way out in 2015, 2016, just without all that 2010s trap type bass, but this is more in like late 2008 fashion. So if you're looking for like stunt type music from like 2008, 2009, just within the appeal, something that's not quite as 2000s oriented as Buck the World, but just kind of within the pitch, like a spin off of that particular sound, just an advancement of it. Still kind of 2000s, but just kind of vehicle pull up type music within the pitch. Just like some good pizzazz and basis within the concept, like some flash for that particular time. That's a good song for some of that. Just real heroin, just within the pitch. Almost reminds me of like late 2000s Gucci Mane Waka Flocka within the pitch, just without the drill fashion about it. But it's nice jazzy type one. All-Star Cashville Princess Grinding Hard. All-Star Cashville Princess Grinding Hard is a nice one. This definitely takes it back to like Miami Vice and Grand Theft Auto Vice City type style within the pitch behind it. It's like a vintage 80s kind of Rick Ross Miami style cruise around to kind of get here. Just Pink Skies, definitely some work relief within those pitches. Just an overall hot song. Just in the pitch, they particularly nail that particular vibe. So if you like songs by like Slim Thug, like, forget the name of that song, but songs by Slim Thug like I Run and Push It to the Limit by Rick Ross, some of those type pitches, just good type tone for some of that type fashion. Just not a ton of songs like this on here, but it's a good type fashion to have Young Buck and some of those type folks nail that particular vibe, so it's good type tone. My Interview is a nice one. This is a Young Buck exclusive song. It's a pretty good one here. It's like a piercing kind of vintage mid-2000s mixtape drama to kind of get within those aspects. This definitely reminds me of like a DJ drama Paranoia off some of those 2000s type mixtapes, and it's a pretty lit song. So it's just within the pitch. It's something that Jeezy, Lil Wayne would have done 2006, 2007 within some of those type aspects. It's good type pitch for some of that particular type fare. Just the same sort of conduct within it. Just really, yeah, just some of that brushy kind of paranoia within those aspects about My Interview. Just real nice one. Some of these Young Buck solo songs really, and a lot of these Young Buck solo songs really enhance the product. So it's just kind of the pitch that Young Buck was kind of in his prime, just within the batch that was kind of uncommon as to whether or not knowing whether or not Young Buck was going to drop like another album. It's just kind of within the pitch that these songs are basically like definite treats and appetizers to kind of get just within the pitch, because he did still continue to drop hot music in 2008 and 2009. So it's a good type pitch that discontinuing. Good type fare. Kill Me a Nigga's a nice one as well. It's like a jazzy kind of stunt outing, I'd have to say here. It just reminds of like 2000s mixtape and Carter 2, Lil Wayne within some of those type pitches, and it's a good song to get crunk to within some of those type fares. So just typical kind of evening commerce pitches like that. Just reminds of songs like Money on My Mind, some of those particular type fares, and Stunt Like My Daddy, some of those type pitches of 2005, 2006 Lil Wayne just within pitches. Same sort of appeal. This feels like a runner's beat, some of those type fares just within pitches like that. That typical kind of Rick Ross hustling type fares, some of those type pitches within a good nice one. Jay's On My Feet's a quality one. It's like a day after I was kind of hustle mode type song, kind of get within those pitches. Just some basic kind of in between dredge I had to say about this one. Good song for like to grab a cold beer, something like that. Just hop up within some of the pitches behind it. So it's just kind of typical one of those type ones. This is by Sibo, which I want to say that Tupac did a song with him off of like All Eyes on Me. I want to say he might be in prison, something like, I don't remember his full bound about Sibo. He's something that feels like a product of the 90s as far as what's going to happen. But it's just kind of the concept as far as like, it's kind of one of those type ones that just feels like a slumish type song within the pitch behind it. Yeah, so Jay's On My Feet is just kind of a slumish, just kind of relative dredge of like a sunny afternoon or evening fare, just early evening, late afternoon, some of those type pitches. It's basically still in hustle mode, but just a little bit dreary about it. Basic concept for that, just real almost frustrating type song. But Money Right's a nice one within that relative type fare. So there are some sunny type ones within the pitch, just a little bit more piano kind of driven, just hop and bop about it. Just a real typical type aspect. There's at least another one like Money Right, which I think is actually Dope Man Bitch, I'd have to say. But Money Right's like a halfway sunny kind of basic day push to kind of get here, but later on in the verse it switches to like some evening excitement, I'd have to say, within the pitch behind it. It's just a nice flip mode to kind of get this one. It's kind of the concept, but just like cruise arounds within the pitch. It is kind of the pitch of like, okay, done with work, get into the concept like some step out as far as those fares going to happen. Just switch in. I mean, the concept behind it, where it does this within the particular verse, is kind of the concept as far as saying, all right, this, just a few minutes ago is work. Now it's time to get to like the flip mode. It is the concept behind it. This kind of aspect of just having those thrills, that just kind of halfway hustle song, but also halfway within the concept of not being a square about it, as if, all right, I'm just going to be responsible for the rest of the day as far as this pitch can happen. Just kind of the tone is like, all right, work was here, but now it's time to get to this particular fashion within it. So it's a good type concept, but within Money Right type fashion, I mean, there are actually some hustle songs on here. It does have like a good productive amount of makeshift within some of these type tones, but it is within the pitch. There's actually not a ton of songs on here like We Outta Here and Re-Up, some of those type ones within the pitch behind it. And surprisingly, Young Buck doesn't do those particular ones. It's not to say he wouldn't do them, but it's just within the pitch that you don't really find. I mean, Young Buck, to say he's not on every single song, he helps out with some ones. He does drop verses oftenly enough, and he does have some solo songs, so just within the pitch that he's not on every single song on here. To say if you like a particular song like We Outta Here, it's just kind of within the pitch that it may not happen within some of those type fares, but it's just the concept of it. Driving down the freeway is a nice one. It's like a woozy kind of day after hours dredge kind of get here, just like Dope Man Bitch it had to say, and it's like some good makeshifts kind of have. So there are some makeshift songs like I was saying, just like Money Right, and a little bit of J's on My Feet I'd have to say. But the concept about this one just feels like a more modest kind of version, like a cruise around within some of those type fashions I'd say. Just kind of the pitch of this. Snoop Dogg is on the song and he has a pretty good intro as far as talking about the stuff that Tupac did, just his affluence as far as those particular pitches kind of having. It's a good concept. I do like these Young Buck and Snoop Dogg songs. They don't commonly happen, but it is good appearance when they do as far as those aspects kind of go. So it's just good concept. Kind of get like some relative kind of diss, maybe just moist out kind of day in like summertime, just the pitch of just behind it, just typical kind of springtime almost kind of cruise around, spring, April, May, June type cruise around within some of the fashion, just like that typical kind of dredge, just really kind of makeshift that just feels extra thoughts and just pitch like that, just in more warm weather type fashion. It's not quite a summer ride out in like the pitch of the heat like Tupac would kind of do, but just the concept of just like some good extra kind of green out kind of lush type music just for like the concept behind it. Just relative to springtime type pep within the pitch, just within a Hustlers type format. So it's good type tone. Then I would say Dope Man Bitch is another like one, just like that. Like I was saying, it's like a dreary and moist kind of springtime traffic. I'd have to say some Hustlers makeshift definitely here, and this is just kind of an SFW type song within the pitch behind it. Not as much carnivorous within the pitch behind, just like some of this relative feralness. Good song for some rumination thoughts versus pitch kind of go just within the pitch behind it. Just kind of a concept of just actually probably could have been like a decent pop rap type single if this project had gotten way more promotion within the pitch behind it. It's just kind of the concept that there were some breakthrough type ones. If you do need some of that type fare, if you're looking for some of that late 2000s kind of hustle grind or just further extensions of Young Buck, but just within the concept of having some of that makeshift type push for like a day type fare, like the in between just kind of 9 to 5 or just blue collar type moments, has some good pitches for that. Real Niggas is a nice one. This is a good type fare for this. This particularly has the Outlawz on here. This is like a harrowing kind of sunny evening haze, I would say about this. This reminds me of like 2000s Dr. Dre type productions. One of those piano type ones. One of those typical kind of 2000s piano Dr. Dre type beats that he would do, like the one that he did. What a Shame for Devin the Dude. Some of those type pitches I'd had to say, some of those type fares. Just some late excitement. Just like some late... This song would be like some late excitement and a good cut to kind of have for some of those type pitches. Just basically like 5:30 p.m. pitches like that. It's kind of the concept of like a primer. Just kind of the concept of just the relative after effects like the worship. But just kind of the concept of like, okay, what am I going to do now as far as what's going to happen? Doesn't have Young Buck on here, but the Outlawz handled this one pretty well. Another one with some evening embrace would be Only Life I Know. I'd have to say is like an alert kind of evening embrace to kind of get here to still revved after like a relative dredge kind of day. I'd have to say still revved after like a relative dredge. I'd have to say about this one, just some good day push as far as what's first going to happen. So it's just kind of the concept as far as saying, say Only Life I Know is just evening embrace, like I was saying, just kind of the concept of like some leftover type aspects just within it. It's kind of a concept of something very Tupac-esque within the pitch behind it. Just within the fair, good type fashion, because this is another Outlawz type song. It's just within the pitch, just like that particular conduct, it just like some further kind of energy as far as the aspects of just like the frustration, like a typical kind of day commerce, but just in the pitch, it's still having like some good ride out type energy within the fair. It's typical kind of summer dredge, just a little bit more lazy about it within the pitch behind it. It's just some further kind of good summer evening type energy just in the pitch, just a little bit more rougher within the tone behind as far as those aspects kind of goes. So it's just kind of the conduct behind it, just kind of it's a little bit dreary within the aspect behind it. But then I would say basically We Want It. We Want In with Stormy's a nice one as well. It's like a good spin-off of like Tupac kind of summer ride out. I would have to say just a more glissy kind of night traffic sense I'd have to say here. It's just an overall fast type one. So it's just the concept. If you like songs by Tupac like Ambitions as a Ride, some of those type ones within the pitch, other ones like that, like some songs from Tupac way back in 96 like Holla At Me, some of those type pitches that just feel like it's like the night traffic, some of those type fares. Just the concept. There's just a quickness factor about this one. Just kind of feels like a little bit more fashion, just like some almost blurry kind of quick times within the pitch. I mean, for 2009, it has a good type pitch to having some of this particular type of appeal, considering the Outlawz in 2009 were kind of definitely afterthoughts within those particular pitches as far as doing it. But it's just kind of the concept of just getting advancements of what the Outlawz probably could have been way out in the late 2000s just in the pitch behind it. So it's just good type tones of getting like Tupac energy from 1996 just within a more night traffic type fashion. It just has a lot of good starriness and just glitz about it. So it's a good type of appeal. Trying to think of some other songs I haven't talked about here. I don't think I've talked about Fucks With Me yet. So this is like an oozing kind of late activity, kind of neighborhood jaunts kind of get here. Just some link music. I would definitely feel like by link, I just mean link up, kind of chat for a bit, kind of some dap, basic pitches like that, smoke a few just within pitches like that. Just kind of a good concept to finish up some errands. And if you do have homies long, if you do finish up errands with some pals and pitches like that, if you just kind of have some social type moments, get some bills paid, some of that type fare within the concept of company, good type of appeal for that. So yeah, Fox with Me is just some after type moments to kind of get within those pitches. I'd have to say just the concept behind it. Fox with Me this is the same sort of fashion as like a song like Only Life I Noticed, a little bit more of like neighborhood type saunter within pitch. Kind of like something that Gucci Mane would kind of do with Zaytoven, just more neighborhood strolls, pitches like that, just snap run picking up like frozen burritos, some of those type pitches, corn nuts, some of that type fare. Just in the concept of just like some social kind of dabs. It's just a good pitch kind of have for some of that social fare. I don't know if I talked about looking for some hoes either. It's a good, nice one as well. It's like a woozy kind of night venue ambience kind of get here. Just smoke a couple. Definitely, I have to say, some good holla type music I have to suppose here, and just good song to get loud to. Good concept. So this is like a more kind of woozy type fashion, like a night venue. If like the thrills, like some dance noise would be on a song like We Outta Here, or like a song like My Interview, some of those type pitches I'd have to say is just kind of a concept as far as getting towards it, just within the pitch, as far as saying that there's just some good further night venue type energy. Was just kind of concept, just getting some drinks in your system, just being a little bit more ambient with it, some holla music for like the Beezies, as far as pitch like that kind of goes. So looking for some hoes kind of does that. And then God's Plan is a nice one as well. It's like a heroin kind of night commerce kind of get here, just some East Coast kind of paranoia, something like Mobb Deep or Biggie would kind of do around those particular times. This feels like big city type tones within the pitch. Just a good song for snacks and toke, as far as it feels like a good song for snackage and tokage as far as those pitch kind of goes. So this is the concept. It's more traditional type fashion. It's more East Coast grime kind of fashion as far as those aspects kind of go along with it. This does have Young Buck on there, so it's a good type pitch can have for some of that type of appeal. So it's good type glitz for that. But yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. There's plenty of songs in this particular product. All of these hit within the particular fashion about it. I do find the concept like, I mean, you can say within certain fashions that probably Young Buck needed to be on here, and it probably needed like a single to anchor this, just like a good dynamite type smash. But I would say some of the ones I would probably go for within immediate type sense, in terms of like if some of this just seems tougher to digest within the concept, a little bit more casual type appeal. I'd say definitely the Young Buck solo songs. There's some good aspects here. Songs like My Interview and It's Not Okay, the 50 Cent disc, have some good immediate kind of attractiveness with them. I definitely say We Outta Here is a real nice one. Then like the pitch of some dance club type glitz. I do feel like some of these Outlawz type songs, if you're familiar with Tupac from '96 and the Outlawz from '96, is some good type fashion. Some songs like this, like I would say I would say We Want It definitely has some vicious energy. Real Niggas is a pretty nice Dr. Dre type styled one. And like Only Life I Know kind of has some of that particular type fashion, just like some Evening Embrace. So it's just they're in the same fashion that they were in '96. They're just a little bit more kind of reserved with it. It's just kind of, it may not have the ferocious kind of craziness of Hit 'em Up or Ambitions as a rider, but that same ride out type energy they continue to be riders as far as this pitch kind of go. Just a good type tone. So it just has the fashion behind it. There's some makeshift songs on here like Dope Man Bitch and Driving Down the Freeway, some of those type ones. There's just good type fashion for some of these type ones, but it does have like the Hustlers, makeshift type songs as well within some of those type pitches, some Benny and Ben's pitches like that. So it just has some ones just in the concept. I did list some immediate type ones like the two Young Buck songs, My Interview and It's Not Okay, and then songs like We Out Here. So it's just in the pitch as far as saying. I'd probably also say that Grind Hard is a pretty immediate one as well, and probably Kill Me a Nigga as well, I'd have to say within some of those type fashions. So it kind of happens to be appeal. So yeah, this mixtape gets a 10 out of 10. The social score I'll probably give like a 9.75 out of 10. It's just within the pitch that I do think there probably need at least be a music video or something like that, just between the sabotage or like the beef that was going on with 50 Cent, just the fact that the label fell through and all that quality entertainment that was getting ready to get pumped out just got flushed down the drain as far as this pitch kind of happened. Just kind of really screwed over like some good type content. And it's not 50 Cent's fault. It's not within the pitch as far as saying that it was just kind of constant. It's just bad timing just because 50 Cent was starting to phase out. People are getting more into Lil Wayne, and then eventually Drake, and in certain cases of Kanye West, and it's more things like that as the trends were starting to shift, that 50 Cent just kind of became like an afterthought in 5 minutes ago, which is unfortunate because it screwed over Young Buck and some of those type folks. But the music is still good, still recommend it. Just need a little bit more promotion, and the availability of it's kind of natched as well. Like I said, some of the songs from the iTunes edition seem to be scratched away, which is unfortunate, but hopefully some of those, I would just download some of these songs if you can't find them, if possible. I don't know if it's full-blown possible. What Young Buck would think was just kind of the fact some of these songs are worth it, but just it's worth it to track this down and purchase. So in terms of the future, like Young Buck has been working on things as far as those fairs kind of happens, just within the pitch that he has been pumping out content. I don't know if he's been pumping out albums, but he does have plenty. He probably has over 20 mixtapes as far as those fairs going to happen. So we're definitely going to get to some more of these. Good concept here. This is a pretty good, thorough classic that discontinued like the Cashville Records and G Unit South type labels as far as this pitch can happen. Advances these sounds pretty well. These Outlawz songs, All-Star Cashville Prince songs, these Young Buck songs, all these hit pretty heavily within the pitch. So this is like a low-key kind of mixtape classic, easy enough to recommend, but you have to kind of look for it.